day number 7, for some people it's more like day 6 or day 8, but on average day number 7, it is commonly known as one of the toughest, if not the absolute single toughest day on No Not November. This is one of these days where the urges just get so high that it's just making you feel... Do you know what I mean? It's preventing you from thinking straight. It's preventing you from focusing. All that you can think about is sex, playing with your dick to porn. And it's probably making you think, fuck, how on earth am I supposed to last this whole month if I'm already feeling like this after about 1 week, right? Now there is a possible explanation for why you are feeling like this, but before we get into that, the most important thing, the point of this video, the most important thing that I'm trying to say right here is do not worry. What you are feeling right now is relatively normal. It happens to a lot of us and it gets easier. It will not be like this and it will probably not get worse. I'm not saying the rest of the month is going to be a walk in the park. However, there is something about right now, around day 7, the 1 week mark, that makes things incredibly tough and that probably drops down and it probably gets a bit easier from here on. The urges that you are feeling right now, these insane, uncontrollable urges, they will probably not stay like this for the entire month, okay? And of course, I got you guys back. I will be giving you guys some actual practical tips on how to pull through today and tomorrow and, well, you know, the rest of the month as well, but to just pull through when the urges get insanely high. So why is it that the urges get so high at around day 7 and that it sort of drops back down after? How is this possible? Well, the truth is we don't really know. We don't know for sure. But there is this one study that measured testosterone levels in men who did semen retention, who did not ejaculate for a certain period of time. And it found that testosterone started to climb at around day 5, 6. It peaked on day 7. It peaked on 145.7% of baseline testosterone. And then on day 8, for some reason that we do not know, testosterone dropped back down to normal levels on week 2. And it stayed flat for as long as they measured. And they only measured for like 2 weeks, so they don't know what happened during week 3 and 4. But it did know that around day 7, testosterone started to climb, and then it dropped back down to regular levels during week 2. Now, of course, this is just a study, one study, measuring testosterone levels, and there's a lot more going on when it comes to urges and libido. But this could possibly explain why we are feeling something. There could be more going on in our body, right? Maybe it's not just testosterone, maybe it's some other hormones, some other things in our brain happening as well. This study kind of does show us that there is something, for some reason, happening at around day 7 that sort of boosts us up temporarily, right? Something temporarily happens in our body. And anecdotally, a lot of people on semen retention, a lot of people on No Not November confirm, even people that don't know about the existence of this study, people confirm that they are feeling a pattern in lust that is somewhat similar to what is going on in this study. After about 1 week, they feel an increase in lust. And then for some reason, week 2 gets easier again. So again, we don't know exactly why this happens, but we do know that a lot of people say that this happens and that we have some evidence to suggest that there is something going on in our body at around day 7 and that week 2 sort of gets easier again. So what the actual explanation is, I don't know. But rest assured, there is a very high chance that, well, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, things will get easier, okay? It won't stay this bad all of the time. Again, it's not going to be walk in the park, but it's probably not going to be this hard. It's probably not going to be harder than what you are feeling right now. But that all being said, let's get to the part that you guys are actually waiting for. What can you do to sort of make sure that you don't end up messing up right now? What are some actual practical tips to pull through day 7 and day 8 when the urges get too high? Because knowing that things get easier, it's nice to know, but actually knowing for sure that you're not going to mess up, that's even nicer to know, right? So here are some actual practical tips. Number 1, do not put yourself in environments, situations where you end up relapsing. So what you are going to have to do here is ask yourself, what are these situations where I usually end up watching the dirty videos, busting that nut? And how can I prevent that? So usually this is going to be quite simple, right? It's going to be something like, well, it happens when I'm alone on my computer or in my bedroom by myself on my phone, right? Usually it has something to do with a form of isolation and a digital device, right? The combination of these two things. You're isolated and you have a digital device in front of you. But it's going to be a bit personal. For some people, it only happens on the computer. For some people, you know, it's always on their phone when they're in the bedroom before they go to sleep or something. Ask yourself what these situations are, and then just try to make extra sure to not do them. Which sort of takes us to tip number 2, distract yourself. Start thinking about alternatives that you can do instead of isolating yourself with that digital device. Instead of sitting on your computer by yourself, try and see if you can hang out with your friends, right? Maybe you can hang out with family. Instead of sitting in your room, maybe you're living in your parents' house, right? You live with your parents. Normally, you would spend the evening in your bedroom, on your phone or your computer. Well, go downstairs and sit with your parents, right? It might be a bit unusual. It might not be something you regularly do, but if that's what you need to do for this one evening to get through these strong urges, then do it, okay? Go to the gym, do whatever. But generally speaking, the consensus should be get out. Get out of isolation and stop spending time with digital devices. Now, tip number 3, and this is something that some people are going to disagree with me on. Some people are going to hate it that I say this, and this is something that you need to be very careful with. But I would say that to some extent, if you can take some responsibility, you could allow yourself to indulge in other bad habits to sort of make sure that you don't do this one thing. So what I mean is this. Generally speaking, the stricter we are for ourselves, the more rules we have in our life. I'm not allowed to do this, and I'm not allowed to do this, and this, and this, and this. The harder it is to actually stick to the rules, right? If you have only 1 rule or 2 rules, I'm not allowed to do this, it's fairly easy. But if you have a whole bunch of rules, then the chances of you breaking and thinking, I don't feel like it anymore, start to increase, right? So what I'm saying is this, and again, be very careful with this. Take some personal responsibility, but just allow yourself to do some things that you might otherwise consider something that you were not allowed to do. Right? So maybe, for example, you are someone that works insanely hard. You never play a video game. You never drink any alcohol. Allow yourself to play a video game and drink a beer or something, right? Now, of course, take responsibility, be careful with it, don't go overboard, don't drink too many beers. That might cause you to relapse. Don't use this as an excuse to do a whole bunch of other bad things. But what I'm saying here is cut yourself a little bit of slack. Take it a little bit easier. Allow yourself to just do some things. Drink that one beer, eat some snacks, play that video game that you normally wouldn't. Just allow yourself to do some other bad things. Allow yourself some form of distraction. And it might make it easier to just keep yourself distracted with fun things, with making yourself feel good. And that might decrease the chances of you reaching that breaking point where you are like, fuck, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to do it. And again, for like the 5th time, don't use this as an excuse. Take some personal responsibility here. Think critically and just, try to do what you think makes sense without going overboard. And again, as an ending to this video, we don't know exactly how it works, but we do know that generally speaking, what you are feeling right now is probably the worst that you are going to feel. Just pull through it, stay strong, and things will get easier.